Have you ever been in a relationship where you know it's over? Your friends know it's over. Your family knows it's over. Hell, everyone knows it's over. Except the one person that needs to know the most, your significant other. You just haven't worked up the courage to tell her. For some reason, you keep holding out hope. You keep thinking if you just give it a little more time, if you give it a little more effort, a little more attention, that maybe, just maybe, the relationship will work itself out. It'll have a chance. You keep delaying the inevitable. You keep wasting time by refusing to rip off the Band-Aid and ending this toxic relationship. That's where I feel like the New Orleans Pelicans are right now. Everyone knows it's over. The media knows it's over. The fan base knows it's over. Everyone seems to know it's over except the people that need to know the most. Gail Benson and the Pelicans front office. Hell, I don't know if Gail Benson even realizes that she still owns the Pelicans. Last night, the Pelicans were once again embarrassed on their home court in front of a crowd of empty seats in the dump known as the Smoothie King Center. I can't even call it a polished turd. The Smoothie King Center, it is a literal dump. For the last 12, maybe 18 months, anyone with a clue knew that the Pelicans needed to trade Brandon Ingram. They were committed to building around Zion Williamson. Kind of. That's another problem in and of itself. David Griffin and the ultimate weasel, Willie Green, they have never fully committed to building around anyone, which is why you have a roster in New Orleans that's full of talent that doesn't fit. They have great pieces to the puzzle, but the problem is the pieces are all from different puzzles. For the past 12 to 18 months, everyone knew that you had to trade Brandon Ingram. In my opinion, Brandon Ingram is one of the worst kinds of NBA players that you can have because he's a role player who thinks he's a superstar player. When it comes to negotiating a contract, that is a tough mentality to overcome, which is why the Pelicans have had a difficult time trading him, but the trade would not have been difficult if it was done at this time last year when its value was high. Problem is, David Griffin, he wanted to wait. I like Brandon. He really wants to be here. He wants to be a part of my family. Plus, Brandon is very compassionate. And as you guys know, Davey loves compassion. This is a role player looking for a max contract who has won a total of 2 playoff games in his NBA career. Not 2 playoff series, 2 playoff games. For some reason, Brandon Ingram thinks that makes him worthy of a max contract. He's the only one who thinks that because the Pelicans, they tried to trade him this past offseason. There was not another team in the NBA willing to take him. And now, because David Griffin decided to wait, because David Griffin refused to trade BI when his value was high, the Pelicans are likely to lose him this summer and get nothing in return. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. If you happen to stumble upon this video, be sure to check out my main channel, Behind the Line. Link to the main channel in the description below. Last night, Brandon Ingram's trade value plummeted even further, if that was even possible, because he suffered what is likely to be a season-ending ankle injury. Well, KC, that's not true. It's a high ankle sprain. He could return in a couple of months, and the Pelicans will make a huge run to make the playoffs. Yeah, wake the fuck up. Now, for the Pelicans, this should be viewed as a blessing in disguise. Now, obviously, we want BI to get well soon, but for the Pelicans, this should be a blessing in disguise. Both Zion and Brandon Ingram are out indefinitely. It gives you the perfect excuse to tank the rest of the season. Even if you have to let BI walk in free agency and you get nothing in return, Who cares? You weren't winning with him anyway, and he doesn't fit your current roster. He didn't fit playing alongside Zion Williamson, and now that you have DeJounte Murray, he damn sure doesn't fit. You can't have three players in your starting lineup who occupy the same spots on the floor. That dog won't hunt. Even if they were fully healthy, the Pelicans, as currently constructed, they are one of the worst teams in the Western Conference. Now that they are injured, they're the worst team in the NBA not named the Washington Wizards. The top 5 picks in next year's draft, they had the potential to be franchise players. If you're the Pelicans, you should be tanking the rest of the season to get one of those top 5 picks. But here's the problem. None of this matters if you don't clean out the organization from top to bottom. I caught some heat when I told you guys that I quit following the Pelicans and started following my wife's team, the Mavericks. But here's the thing. I did not quit on the team. I still like and respect Herb Jones. I still like Trey Murphy. I still like and respect all the players. I didn't quit following the team. I quit on the organization. This organization is a cancer, and the cancer has spread throughout the franchise. Like I say all the time, organizations take on the characteristics of their leaders. The Pelicans are the softest team in the NBA. They are quiet, they fold under pressure. They are the worst team in the league in clutch games. This team was 0-22 last season in clutch games. This roster is a direct reflection of Gail Benson, David Griffin, and the Weasel, Willie Green. It is no coincidence. It is no coincidence that the Saints and the Pelicans have the same exact problems. The Saints, they got rid of one of their problems last month, but they refused to get rid of the main problem, Mickey Loomis. My fear is the situation is going to be the same with the Pelicans. Willie Green is going to be the fall guy. At some point this season, once the Pelicans have lost enough games to secure a top pick, Willie Green is going to be fired. But just like it was with the Saints when they fired Captain Doofus last month, firing Willie Green, that is only treating the symptom to the real problem. And the real problem is David Griffin. You cannot allow David Griffin to rebuild this team. If you do, we're going to be sitting here in 5 or 6 years having the same exact conversation that we are having right now. You can blame the injuries, which they will. You can blame the Weasel, which they will. And don't get me wrong, Willie Green is the worst coach in the NBA. I don't think he knows that X and O are letters in the alphabet, much less how to draw them on a clipboard. You can blame whoever the hell you want, but until you get David Griffin out of the building, the Pelicans are going to have the same problems. This is a culture problem. It's a mentality problem. I have referenced this countless times, but go look at the Pelicans practice facility. Look at the messaging on the walls. It matches the messaging that we hear in press conferences. Play with force, compassion, family, pace, love. This mentality breeds a culture of softness. It breeds a culture that lacks accountability because you can't be compassionate and hold people accountable at the same time. Compassion is what I have with my daughter when she fails her driver's test. I don't want compassionate players in my locker room. I want dogs. I want winners. I'm telling you right now, mark my words. What is today? December 8th, 2024. The tank is on in New Orleans. They are going to get one of the top 5 picks in the draft, more than likely. But mark my words. If Gail Benson allows David Griffin to rebuild this team again, the end result is going to be the same. Huge embarrassing failure. Give me your thoughts on this. Brandon Ingram injured, likely out for the season. His career in New Orleans is over, or at least it should be. Do you think Brandon Ingram is a max contract player? Is David Griffin the real problem in New Orleans? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can build a championship contender based on compassion. I've just never seen it. Michael Jordan was not compassionate. Kobe Bryant was not compassionate. They were killers on the court. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.